I'm Mark Scherer. I'm the CEO and founder of Encompass Life and the host of Encompassing Life Podcast. Today, we have Melissa Ames on the call, and Melissa owns a company called Runfully Global. And I've just met her. And she is a very interesting lady. Um, Wise beyond her years, I say she's an old soul because she kind of works the world to her own beat. And today she's here to describe what she's doing in life, um, as well as like her running career, her film career. She's a lady of many talents. Melissa, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Amazing. Such a beautiful intro. Nice to be on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. So you were sharing Costa Rica is your favorite place, and that you've done extensive traveling, and you look like you're like maybe early 20s, mid 20s.
I've actually been around the sun quite a few more times than that. I'm 36.
Okay, so I'm 10 years off. Okay, gotcha. So tell us a little bit about what you've been doing and what Run Fully Global is about.
Yeah, so Run Global is really about following your dreams and your biggest, wildest, most amazing dreams and living a life of awesome, living in joy and your passion. And you might be starting from a place of frustration or depression or not having accomplished your childhood dreams. But Run pushes you to the limits of using fitness as a metaphor for life to help you to actually take the steps that you need to take to be disciplined and to reach a state of really nirvana. And that's a state that I've reached several times before. In 2018, I ran 13 half marathons in the year. And that's a half marathon a month plus one extra to represent 13 miles and a half marathon. And it was the best year of my entire life because I was, by the end of the year, in the best shape of my life. And I had discovered my purpose, which was sharing this love for running with other people around the globe. And after that, I put on a race in India with 40 school children that I sponsored, and a young man of only 18 years old managed the race from India. And it was really beautiful to witness somebody stepping into their power and getting to manage a race of something that they had always dreamed of doing, of spreading their love of fitness in the world. And on the same day, my friend in Indonesia, who I met and later actually ran with in Indonesia, she put on a race for her NGO, which was about the environment. So they picked up trash on the way of their run to incorporate her NGO into the run. So I gave Runfully gave her the platform to be able to show her love of fitness and her love of the environment. And that was really close to my heart and something that I want to do more of in the future. But after I ran those 13 half marathons around the country, I was singing and I was dancing and I was sharing my journey on Instagram, and people were really loving it. At about mile 6, I would share what I was learning during that month. And at about mile 10, I would do karaoke dance party time and have people actually give suggestions for what songs I should dance to. And sometimes I was dancing to like, I feel good, na 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 na. I knew that I would now. And I'm just like rocking out while I'm dancing. And it was helping me to complete the last 3 miles of the race. And so that energy really got together a huge community of people that were supporting me. I went from 0 followers to 10,000 followers on Instagram within a year. And that's how I met Put from Indonesia, was just through Instagram. And she said, "Why don't you come run with me one day on a in Indonesia?" And I was like, yeah, sure. I don't know when I'll ever get out to Indonesia. And she lived in a just a random city in Surabaya, Indonesia. And then one day, my friend invited me to go, who was in my company at the time. And she lived in Australia and she was going to go visit her family for Christmas. And she said, "Why don't you come out with me and see my family for Christmas in Australia?" And I said, "Well, if I'm going to go to Australia, I want to go somewhere else out there. It's a long trip. So I looked at a big map in my kitchen and I saw that Indonesia was nearby. And I remembered this girl saying, "Come run with me in the rice fields." And so I said, I wonder if I could actually run with her around Christmas time. So I contacted her and said, "Hey, I'm actually going to come. Like, were you serious about me running with you?" And she was just as crazy as I was, and she's like, "Yeah, come run with me." She's like, "We don't even celebrate Christmas. You could come on Christmas Day." And Christmas Day is my birthday, and so she's like, "We'll run a 5K together, uh 3 miles together." And so then I said, I got a plane ticket, and my plane ticket had a 36-hour layover in Japan. So that was already 3 countries. So then all of a sudden, this idea just popped into my mind, like spirit was guiding me. And I said, I just ran 13 half marathons to represent 13 miles and a half marathon. Why don't I run a 5K in 5 countries by the end of the year and make that my journey? And I'll run with a stranger in each country because I'm already going to run with Put Put in Indonesia. So that was the challenge of this documentary series that I then went on to film. Was I knew 3 countries I was going to go to. I didn't know the other two. I only had a ticket to the place I was going, and the place I was gonna leave from New Zealand because I really wanted to go to New Zealand. So I had a plane ticket home from New Zealand, and I had a plane ticket to Indonesia, and that's the only thing I had when I left for that trip. So I was standing in front of in my house. My knees were shaking as I got the Uber to go to the airport, and I was like, "What am I getting myself into? Will I find somebody to run with me in each country? Where am I going to go? How am I going to, go to all these places?" And it was an adventure of a lifetime. And I had so many moments where I just felt so connected to spirit, and so felt so on my path, so on the right path to showing that there are people that will support you whenever you follow your dreams. You take a big risk. That's one thing that's really important to living your dreams, is you have to take big risks. And you have to just have faith that things are going to work out. And then you take action, step by step. You don't have to know the whole story. You don't have to know the whole picture of how it's going to work out, but you have to take a step in the direction of your dreams in order for your dreams to happen. And you have to believe in big things. You have to believe in your crazy ideas. And when you have that passion, when you have that energy, people will be attracted to it. People will want to support you. They'll want to help you because they're like, "Who is this crazy girl?" I sent out messages on Airbnb experiences saying, this is my 30th birthday and I want to complete this mission of running with somebody in every country. And it was just this energy and this passion that people were like, "Wow, who is this crazy girl? I want to help this crazy girl. I want to run with her." And so on Airbnb experiences, some people had running tours, but their times didn't match up with the times that I was going to be there. And so they made special tours just for me to do interviews with me. So that's how I met some of the people, was through Airbnb. Shout out to Airbnb. I would love to do a partnership with them and get this film out so more people can see it, because there's so many keys in it, because I'm sharing the entire journey along with you. You're getting to see what it's like to be stuck in Singapore for a night and my credit card's not working. And I talk you through that. I'm like crying. And so you see some of the struggles that I've been through, that I had to go through, and how I made it through them. You see the triumph that I make on finding people who would actually run with me and how I felt about it. And I stopped to share little pieces of my journey along the way. So that there's a trailer that's on YouTube that you can watch. If you just search Runfully Global trailer, you'll find it. I can give you the link to that as well. And I would love for more people to see it, because the more people that see it, the more that we can get it out there, and the more that there'll be an interest in an executive at one of these companies that could actually purchase it. And if you are an executive at one of the companies, I'd love to get a meeting with you to share more about this and show you more of the documentary series.
Awesome. You got a lot of energy around it, so something's going to happen. Yep.
Yeah.
Big clear ideas attract big clear players.
Yes.
And You either have a big clear idea or you support somebody else in theirs. So you bring forth your vision and have people support you, and it's a beautiful place to be in life.
Definitely.
So you did something in the jungles of Costa Rica that was kind of interesting too, from what I remember.
Yes, so I actually birthed my baby in Costa Rica. I decided that I wanted to have a natural birth with a midwife, and I wanted to be away from the hospitals and to be in nature in the jungle. So my parents didn't believe in a natural birth; they wanted me to be in the hospital. So I decided, you know what, I'm just going to go all the way to Costa Rica to do this birth of my dreams, and it was amazing. It was so empowering, and I got to labor in a river, and I was screaming into a waterfall while I was in labor. And then I ended up giving birth in the house, standing up, and it was an experience of a lifetime. And I had a whole tribe of women to support me. People in Costa Rica are very warm and welcoming, and they brought me meals for 2 weeks afterwards, and they came and sat with me and talked with me about being a mother, and they brought their kids, and it was truly magical experience. And Costa Rica is one of my favorite places in the entire world. I've been to 17 countries, but Costa Rica is the one that I always come back to. And there's just something magical about the air. It's very transformative. Every single time I go, I feel more connected to spirit, more connected to myself, more connected to my path, my vision, my goals. And so that's why I'm hosting a retreat in Costa Rica now. And it's really, really special because you get my perspective on it of having been there several times, having actually lived there. And I have a family that adopted me in, and it's an authentic Costa Rican family. And it's in this place called Cabuya, which is this small town where most of the family is in this town. And it's by Montezuma. It's an hour boat ride from Jaco. It's a beach town, and there's a chef that's going to be cooking authentic foods, and it's delicious. That was one of the top comments that I got on the last retreat that I hosted, was how great the food was. And it's vegetarian food, and there'll be surfing and horseback riding and hiking and yoga. So it's a retreat that's about resilience, about following your dreams. And we do that through movement and through having these adventures together.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome. So I got a question for you.
Yeah.
You're doing some wild things, and you said your parents were like hospital. You got to give birth in a hospital and all that. So what had you become this independent globetrotter? Because it sounded like you were raised differently than what you're doing.
Definitely. I don't know. I think that it was a part of my just who I am and my DNA, because I remember being in elementary school and they would tell us about places like Madagascar. And I was like, I want to go to Madagascar. That sounds incredible. And so I wrote a story about this girl that was living in New York, but she found out that she was from this tribe in Madagascar. And so I would just write these fantastical stories about, adventures that people had. And I would envision myself going on these adventures. And then when I was in high school, my church did a trip to Mexico. And so that was my first international experience, was getting to go with them. And that's when I fell in love with Spanish. And because I was having to learn Spanish in high school and I didn't want to at first, I was resistant to it. But as soon as I went to Mexico and talked to other kids and got to learn what mariposa meant, which is butterfly, because it was butterfly season, and I kept pointing up at the butterflies with the kids and asking, ¿cómo se dice eso? How do you say this? And they would repeat it. And so I would learn. And I found that it was beautiful to learn another language where you could communicate with other people. And so I fell in love with Spanish, and I took it way more seriously when I came back home. And then it wasn't until when I was in college and I actually got into an accident. My car flipped over on the freeway, and my life literally flashed before my eyes. It was just like a movie in slow motion as I'm flipping on the freeway, and then it crashes, and I was hanging upside down. Thank goodness I was wearing my seatbelt. and this doctor comes by and this cop came by. They happened to see the accident, and they were like, you need to unbuckle your seatbelt to get out. And I was like, but then I'll fall. So I fall. I get out of the accident, and then right after that I was just seeing my future, and I was like, well, I always said I wanted to study abroad, but I'm not making it happen. I'm not taking any action to do it, and I'm already going to go into my junior year. Like, college is going to be over before you know it. So I went into the study abroad office that week after my accident, and I said, I'm studying abroad next semester. And they said, whoa, 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 hold on. It normally takes a year before you find a program, before you find the funding. And I was like, no, next semester I'm studying abroad. And I actually made it happen. And it was my first time using the law of attraction, where I saw myself doing it and I felt myself doing it, and I knew that it was possible to do it. And so I took the action as though it was already happening. And I found a program. I just searched where I was going to go. I knew I wanted to go to a rainforest. So I found a place in Costa Rica, and I was so excited, but also nervous about it, terrified, but excited. And then I found the Gilman Scholarship, which is a government scholarship. And you have to do a project with a school or something to show how you're giving back through this. So I found my elementary school that I went to. I connected with one of my old teachers, and I did a project with her class where I showed them what I was doing and talked to them while I was in Costa Rica. And I came back and did a speech afterwards. And I ended up the scholarship, the study abroad program called me, and they said, hey, your money is due tomorrow, or else you can't go on this and your trip will be canceled. And I said, oh, don't worry about it. I find out tomorrow if I got the Gilman scholarship. And I just knew that I was going to get it. There was no doubt in my mind, no hesitation, no fear. And that's one of the secrets of the law of attraction, is just trusting 100% that something's going to happen and not being deterred by fear or doubt or worry. And so that's part of the principles of Run Fully Global that I use, and what I've used in my life several times, and what I need to use in my life now to manifest beautiful things into my life again. But it's having that trust and that faith. So then I ended up getting the scholarship. I ended up getting to go. And that really gave me the travel bug of, and also opened my eyes to so many different cultures. And we traveled all around Costa Rica. I stayed with the host family during that time. And at the time, I was also working with my boss, Justin Baldoni. He was an actor and director in the entertainment field. And he really opened up my eyes to living a more holistic lifestyle. His wife was really into Reiki, which is energy healing. And so I got to, listen into that kind of a lifestyle. She had a natural birth as well. So I was really interested in having a natural birth once I had a kid. And so just being around other people who were in the spiritual field really opened my eyes to that and really expanded my world vision.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and it was difficult, with having parents that didn't believe in that, and it still is difficult to this day. But
Where's your baby now?
he's with my parents, with my family, so that's, I'm having to deal with that right now. That's a whole nother issue. But
Gotcha. How old is he?
he's a year old now.
I gotcha. Cool. And how about the dad?
Yeah, he's from India, but he's not in the picture, unfortunately.
Gotcha. Yeah, kids are a beautiful thing. Beautiful, beautiful to play with, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, so you're doing all these wonderful things in your life, and you're using the law of attraction. Awesome. And what advice do you have to tell people about the law of attraction?
Um, I would say that um, you have to trust the process, and having a fitness goal along with it really amplifies it. When I ran my first half marathon, I was at a point where I was at total depression. I didn't know if I had any talent in the world anymore. And I had just broken up with my boyfriend, who I was completely in love with. And my life was just a tornado. And that's when I first found the law of attraction, the gratitude, 30 days of practicing gratitude. And on that day that you have to, my advice is that you have to dive in right away. So as soon as you feel some sort of a pull towards something of this could change my life,
Hmm.
you have to take action right away, and you have to be consistent with it, and you have to be dedicated to changing your life. So it kind of helps when you're at a rock bottom moment, because you're like, there's nothing I can,
Anything.
anything
Help.
can,
Yeah.
yeah, help.
Anything. Help me out here. Help me out.
Yes. And so I was in one of those moments, and I had said that I was going to run a half marathon. Then there's this thing about doing someday. So if you're like, someday I'm going to study abroad, someday I'm going to run a half marathon, someday I'm going to, find the love of my life and get married. If you say someday, someday's never going to happen, because there's no someday. You
On a
have to say,
calendar.
yeah, you have to pick a day. So I said, then in 3 months I'm going to run a half marathon, and I actually found a half marathon. I signed up for it. It was a Disney half marathon, and I love Disney. And then because I had a date, then I had to start training for it. I had to find a training plan, and I hopped on the treadmill that day, the day that I decided that I was going to run a half marathon. I got on the treadmill and I just ran for as much as I could. I was out of shape. I was a little bit overweight at the time, but I said, I'm going to start this journey, and I
At,
was determined to do it.
at what age were you when you did that?
I was about 26, 27 maybe. It was
Gotcha.
it was 2014.
What was your life? What was your life like before that?
I was working at Taco Bell corporate. I had a pretty good job. It was a
At
pretty
where you said? Oh,
Taco Bell corporate.
gotcha.
Yeah, it was a pretty comfy job. They had a good system there. I got off early on Fridays, and they had food in the office, and they had a gym that we could use. It was a pretty comfy job. I miss it actually in some ways, but I wasn't doing my passion. I wasn't doing, what I really wanted to do, which is documentary filmmaking and, being in the media again and making my own shows. So, yeah, that's why I fell into a little bit of depression, because I was trying to advance in the job, but I wasn't getting any new opportunities, and it was becoming stale. And it was a moment where I thought I was going to actually lose my job, because I had been coming into work late because I was depressed, because I had lost my boyfriend, and it was just kind of a where I just didn't know where my future was going anymore, if I had any talent anymore. But it was a good job, so
Yeah.
um
Yep. If you're raised with have to do you do a good job, make the money, do whatever it takes to do whatever it takes for the money instead of living your passions. But I'll tell you what, that's a hard life to live, man. At some point in time, you gotta what do you really love to do? What really fires you up?
mhm.
Gotta yeah, I've been down that road before too. Painful way to live for sure.
It really is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've really found my deal at about age, I guess around 50, or I guess around age around 50 is when I burned everything down. I said, you know what? I'm going to live my life based on what I love to do, and that's all I'm going to do is what I love, and that's my whole life. My whole world has changed since then. We do here, you heard the law of attraction. What we do here the gift of co-creation.
Mhm.
So if you say the law.
The
This,
law,
now say the gift.
the gift,
Which one feels better?
the gift. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we do is it's some slight nuances different than the law of attraction, and it feels really yummy in the body. I like
Hmm.
where it feels yummy. So, where can people get in touch with you, Melissa?
Yeah, so I have my website, and on there, there's an application for that retreat. And that retreat is really going to be gaining the momentum using these principles that we talked about today to live a life of your passion. So I really believe in not just going on a retreat and having an amazing experience, but having an amazing experience that's going to transform your life in different ways as you go back to your normal life after the retreat.
Have,
So
how long is the retreat? How many days?
it's 5 days.
And it's in the jungles of Costa Rica.
Yes.
Are you sleeping open air? You got nice accommodations? Where? Give me a picture of what it looks like.
Yeah, in this particular spot, it's co-ed, so there's men and women that can attend, and there's a tree house kind of a situation. So you're living really amongst in nature, and it's great accommodations, and there's a hike in the national park. There's time spent in the water doing surfing lessons, and there's horseback riding. The horseback riding is the best in the entire world that I've ever done before, because you actually get to run on the beach, and the horses are beautiful, and you get to go to a waterfall as part of the horseback riding tour. So it's gorgeous, and really awesome if you've already ridden horses and you want to experience a little bit more.
Mhm.
Um,
Do you have
and
like, I guess you have the zip lines and the rappelling and all that stuff in that area too?
Yeah, there's zip lines. On this particular tour, we won't do zip lines, but I can recommend different places if somebody wants to do that. I'm doing another retreat that's in July that'll have zip lines,
And
but that one's a little bit more,
how many people attend your retreats normally?
about 5 to 10.
Well, it's a small group, intimate.
Yeah.
Everybody gets to know each other really, really well. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Um, I do have a question I ended the show with, and my question is, what do you love about life? If you could make it big L life rather than squeaky out little L life, I'd love to hear what you love about big L life.
Oh, I love this question. What I love is taking those big risks. So the most amazing times in my life have been times whenever I'm like when I'm traveling. I love traveling. I love getting to know different cultures. I love having a big idea and then following it and seeing it come to fruition. Like when I was like, I'm gonna go to 7 countries in a month, and I'm gonna, find these different runners to run with me, and then actually finding people to run with me was amazing. And there's been days whenever I'll meditate for the entire day, just listening to music, just being in nature. Getting to do things like milking cows was one of the highlights of my life. Getting to try new things, getting to be with animals and the people that you're surrounding yourself with. It's like Costa Rica is one of the best places because there's people that will support you in anything that you do.
Mhm.
And I feel like sometimes we don't quite get that in the United States. It's not part of our culture where people are just supporting you, and it's more of a small town community
Yeah,
vibe.
yeah. Costa Rica is beautiful, especially in the outlying towns. San Jose and some of the other bigger towns is
Yeah.
kind of like every other big town. But you get out in the rural areas, and the people are just so warm and clean and beautiful and helping and really helpful, and it's glorious, really, really beautiful there. So, um, I appreciate having you on the show, Melissa, and I wish you success in your retreats, and your documentary sounds really amazing. I hope somebody sees this and get somebody to take care to do your documentary out of this. So I wish you the best, Melissa. Thank you for
Thank
being
you so
on this.
much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Blessings.
And my website is runfullyglobal.com.
Awesome. And somebody send you an email through there or connect with you?
Yeah, my email is melissa@runfullyglobal.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.